Yes, I do, but it's a confusing house to find. But Tony thought it was great.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Did you enjoy the materials on the Coles food store?
I did.
I thought that would be some light reading for you.
I read it right away.
Yeah. I think Brian was concerned it was a Plan Commission packet, so he was relieved when I handed it off to him that it wasn't for him.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
That's coming. Hi, John.
Hi, Doug. Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
Not a problem. Welcome.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, how are you?
Good, you?
Good. Doug, congratulations on your baby.
Thank you.
Did you have a girl or a boy?
A girl, Luella.
Oh,
I love it.
is this your first child?
It is. Yeah.
Who's in the background?
We have Peggy,
Hi.
a new member as well.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't do Zoom at home, so I'm Sherry.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My youngest granddaughter is graduating from high school Friday,
Oh, excellent.
which is such a weird feeling.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Doug, did Peggy get in touch with you?
I'm here.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm here. Hi, Christy.
Peggy, making sure you were there.
I was also going to mention just before we start, obviously the city council, I think was it a resolution to upload meetings to YouTube. If you wanted to say maybe before the meeting started, just give everyone due notice that it'll be uploaded after. Thanks.
Sounds good. So that must be Anne down there.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay. So just any idea if Branda is gonna make it tonight?
She could not make it. She had a last minute work item come up. So I think that we have everyone that we're expecting now.
All right, great. All right, good evening, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order. Doug's noted the roll, and it seems like we should start with some introductions since we have a couple of new commissioners. And how about your name, how long you've lived in the city, and maybe your background in this field of work? Or if you don't have a background in it or education in it, what brings you to this committee? Rebecca, would you like to start?
Sure. I've lived in Monona, I think 15 years now. I've been on the commission for 7 years. My background study is architecture and historic preservation. And That's it.
Rick?
Sure. Hi. My name's Rick Bernstein. I think we moved to Monona from Madison in 2013. So that gives us a little over 8 years here. I used to work for the State Historical Society at the Division of Historic Preservation and Public History. But a little over a year ago, I retired. So I've been on the Landmarks Commission. This is my second term, I think. So maybe 4, 5 years is my tenure so far. And that's it.
All right, thanks. And Anne? Anne, would you like to go next?
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I had to work on that. So, Ann Wellman, I've lived in Monona all my life. President of the Dean House or Blooming Grove Historical Society, involved with them since probably 1983. Thank you.
Awesome. And Peggy?
Hi, I'm Peggy Michaelis. This is my first meeting of the Landmarks Commission. I lived in Monona 51, almost 52 years. And I'm a social worker by background, a dog lover by vocation. And I have a passion for history and for landmarks, for buildings, is what makes I think the whole setting of a community is what we choose to preserve and save from our past. So I'm really excited about being a part of this commission.
Excellent, welcome. We're happy to have you. And John Chapman?
Hello, everyone. I'm John. I might be the newbie on a number of counts here, although this is my first meeting. So I'm with Peggy, but I've only lived in Monona for about 2.5, 3 years. And so we relocated from Racine, the Racine, city of Racine to here. And so I'm very humbled and honored to be part of this this commission. I'm an architect, so that's what I do, and so I have a passion for hopefully what we're trying to do together.
Fantastic, great to
Thanks.
have you. And I'm Alder Christy Goforth. This is my second term chairing this committee. I do not have any educational background or professional background really in this field of work. I do have an urban planning background and a conservation biology background. And I have lived in Monona since 2015. And I will throw up one disclaimer is today was the last day of school. So if you see my children, oh, speaking of them, I just locked them out and now they're gonna be beating the door down. It's the last day of school, so it's a little bit wild around here. I'm gonna try to manage that. But thank you all for being here. And I'm willing to continue learning from all of you who definitely have a lot of history and expertise in this field. So, okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from April?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, did anyone have any corrections or any changes to make to those minutes? Okay, then can I get all in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that passes. And so it looks like we have a couple of appearances possibly, or maybe these are for later in the meeting. Doug, do you know if we have any public appearances tonight?
No public appearances, both,
Okay.
Both guests are for agenda items.
Okay, excellent. All right, then we will hop right into, we'll go to new business. The discussion of the draft of the Coles or Habitat Restore building. And it looks like that's gonna be kicked off by Gail Klein. Doug, did you wanna launch that up?
Yes, thank you. I can just tee this up. So this is the draft that was submitted by Gail for the property at 4207 Monona Drive. I just wanted to bring it to the commission really for any high-level comments and sort of feedback that you wish to share in advance of it being submitted for. I believe it goes to the state first and then passed on to the international body thereafter. So I'm happy for Gail to kind of give maybe an overview and run through it sort of from a high level, but then would welcome some comments and feedback as appropriate as well. Thanks.
Great.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
We can.
Okay, my name is Gail Klein. I'm an architectural historian at UWM Cultural Resource Management. So I was really excited to be part of this project in particular because we're starting to see a lot of these contemporary mid-century buildings start to meet that age threshold for National Register listing. And this is one building that's been on my radar for a long time. I lived in Madison a few years ago, and now I live in Stoughton. So it's a building that I've been familiar with for a long time. So I'm really glad that the commission has decided to pursue National Register listing. The building was constructed in 1968 following a design by a Milwaukee firm. This wasn't a firm that I was especially familiar with, but they did design some high-rise buildings in Milwaukee and had plans for some other very mid-century looking buildings as far as aesthetics go. The building operated as a Kohl's food store supermarket until about 1985. It's an excellent representative of mid-century contemporary architecture, and it's also significant for its use of blue laminated arches to achieve that really distinctive barrel vaulted roof that allows it to avoid interior columns or other vertical supports that would break up that big shopping floor on the inside. It's one of the most visible and distinctive examples of blue laminated arch construction in the city of Monona. And it's also a really great example of that signature building design that was employed by the Kohl's Food Store Company throughout the 1950s and 1960s. And I can say that I've traveled all over the state doing architectural surveys and eligibility determinations. And I've seen other Kohl's food stores, and I've even written eligibility determinations for other buildings. And this is the most intact example that I've seen. There was one other in the city of Racine that was intact when I documented it, and it was demolished a few years ago. So this one is still standing strong. So we're arguing that the building is eligible for listing in the National Register under criterion C, architecture, both for its distinctive contemporary design, its use of blue laminated arches, and as a really outstanding example of that Kohl's Food Store Company design. And I would be happy to answer any questions that anybody on the commission might have about the nomination.
Hi, Gail, this is Rebecca. I just have a couple comments. One is about the site description that you have on the nomination.
Yeah.
I really think you should include like the back end of the building where the dumpsters are. And then I believe there's also a garden back there.
Sure, I can add that to the description.
Another one is just mainly a question. I actually did my graduate thesis on this building, so I'm familiar with a lot of the resources that you used. And one of the resources is the Andrew Turnbull network.
Right.
And I just wonder how he's not an expert in
No,
these
he's not. And I
buildings,
was-
so
Yeah, I was very aware of, I'm always wary of using a lot of historic architecture kind of has a fan base.
right.
And this is one of those areas. So what I mainly used his, I guess you'd say it was I don't know if it's a blog or if it's a website, and a combination of both. He has a lot of photos up there,
Right.
with the corresponding addresses. So we checked out all of those locations just to see, is that one still intact? Is it a good comparable, example? So that was our main reference point there for using those.
Okay, great. That's all I have right now.
Any other questions or comments?
I have one comment. Great nomination. I'm so glad that we're proceeding on this building. I'm glad that we got the owner's approval to do that. But Gail, I just curious, what is the process from this point? I think you'll submit this to the state, but do you have any idea when there might actually be a review board meeting that will deal with this?
Right now, we're seeing about a year out from the time that we submit nominations to SHPO to when they get scheduled for a review board agenda.
Okay,
So, within a few days of us submitting, it will get booked into their queue. And then it's kind of a long wait.
and are they meeting in person at this point, or are they still doing it?
They're still doing it virtually. I presented several nominations at the last, at the May review board, and it was all virtual. I don't know if they are planning a hybrid for the August one or
Okay.
what that's going to look like.
But by the time this comes around, we might all be in a back to normal situation.
I hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so. Okay, but great job. I really appreciated the attention to detail, and I like the fact that this is one of the better examples. So I think that's something to be proud of.
Gail, I just want to piggyback kind of off of what Rick was saying. Do you know if the owner is interested in using historic tax credits for this at all to update the building or?
Well, they're a tax exempt organization, so I think they would need to, if they wanted to pursue that route, they would have to meet with a tax specialist to talk over. I know there's a possibility of selling historic preservation tax credits. I know churches have done this before, but that's something that I think they would need to meet with somebody who's well-versed in tax law to be able to go down that road.
Okay, the reason I bring this up is because I was told by the Historical Society that if a project is using the historic tax credits and they submit a part 1 with their National Register nomination, that they usually get moved up in the queue.
They do. They get fast-tracked a little bit just because they need to claim the credit within a year of starting the work.
Right.
So they kind of do get bumped ahead a little bit. But that being said, I'm not sure where this nomination would fit in with that.
Okay.
Gail, when you were reviewing the property, I noticed that someone had tagged one of the beams fairly.
Yeah, sad.
Oh, so heartbreaking. I don't know. I haven't checked. I felt like that's maybe been taken down now. Did you notice that?
I noticed the tagging. I haven't noticed whether or not it's been cleaned up, but if it has, I would definitely, since I'm so close, be happy to run over there and get a new kind of photo to be the face of the nomination.
Yeah.
I also during the course of the nomination talked to the now president of the company that historically manufactured the glue laminated arches, and he mentioned that he drove by this building several years ago and pulled over and ran out and looked at the arches, and he noticed that some of that the metal cladding that was meant to protect them from water damage along the top has come off, and was hoping to check in with the property owners to see if they were going to do some protective work there. So I was going to forward that note along to those folks.
Okay. Yeah, I can't recall it. I might have just become blind to it, the tagging, seen it so much, but I can't recall if it seems like it might be gone.
Well, that would be great. I will definitely check it out.
Okay, I'll take note as well, and I'll let you know. I live, a couple
Yeah.
blocks up from there, so.
I welcome any opportunity to go shopping at Restore. So.
Oh, yeah. For sure. So, yeah, thanks so much for your work on this. It was really a fun read.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciated the history on that. Okay, does anyone else have any other comments or questions for Gail? All right. Oh, Anne, did you have anything?
No,
No? Okay.
not at all.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
what was that, Doug?
I was just thanking Gail.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much, Gail. Okay, we'll move on to our item B, discussion and possible action on using CLG funds for the National Register nomination of 110 Henua Circle. So Doug, are you gonna tell us about that, how that's working out?
Yes, I can provide an update. It's kind of a two-pronged update here. The first part was kind of from the discussion at the last meeting about the district and some of the comments that came up there. I did follow up with the State Historical Society, and I believe that Rick also had a conversation as well. So thank you for your help with that. The understanding here is that there are two levels of eligibility. There is contributing as part of a district, and then there is individually eligible. And so really it's sort of the level of significance of the property with one, sort of standing on its own, one being more to be part of a district. And so what I have understood and, from conversations that we had, it's really that the property that was deemed, ineligible for credits until a possible district took place was part of a district eligibility rather than individual. And so my understanding is that if it were individually eligible, so sort of the higher level of higher burden, if you will, that would still be eligible for credits even if it was in that potential district. So that seems to have been the discussion. And Rick, if you have anything else to add, please jump in.
Yeah, just to clarify, I guess, a little more is when a property is individually eligible, it doesn't have to be formally nominated to the National Register to be eligible for tax credits, at least beforehand. Eventually it will, but under state tax credits, it would never need to be listed. It would only have to be determined eligible. But for state tax credits, you'd have, as a district, if you're a contributing property, like Doug was saying, the district has to be formally listed in the National Register before it's eligible for state tax credits. So yeah, it's a higher threshold for contributing properties to be eligible for the tax credits in terms of the amount of documentation and designation. So the fact that it has been potentially earmarked as a district does not affect whether or not it's eligible for tax credits. It doesn't set things back any. And that was a little bit of the confusion when we talked with Matt. So the work that we've done as part of the survey and the earmarking of the Frostwoods Historic District is really just a stepping stone to getting that district listed. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. And hopefully once people realize more about those state tax credits that they'd be eligible for, there'd be more of an incentive for people to want to do that. But other properties that have been earmarked as individually eligible, some of which we are nominating to the National Register as we speak, those can be eligible for state tax credits without being formally listed. So hopefully that's clear for people.
And so to build upon that, the discussion here of the Henua Circle property, of Matt Arrow's property, I had reached out to him and discussed this, and he is interested in a National Register nomination. There appears to be some miscommunication or misunderstanding as to the eligibility of the property, in that it was previously, my understanding is that it was previously marked as individually eligible. So again, could be, could stand on its own and could go through the process that the other two residential homes are currently doing. It's currently, though, within the state database listed as contributing rather than individually eligible. So that is currently where the holdup is. And so I had reached out to the SHPO to try and get some more clarification and to see. Matt had shared that he had been in contact with them trying to reverse that, given that it was, it seems as if it was sort of a misunderstanding as part of a previous, sorry, the lights just went out.
Okay.
As part of a previous nomination.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna get these back on. And so I'm hoping to confirm that and to clarify that as to, if this is individually eligible, then we could potentially use the existing CLG grant money that is still available. So I have concurrently checked with the State Historical Society that this funding could be eligible. We would not need to do necessarily another bid for the work or anything like that. And I have reached out to UWM, who just did the restore property, and they quoted $4,000 for the residential for this property, and said that they could, accommodate it within this pretty compressed timeline. Of course, we're working pretty close to the deadline to get something in. So just trying to tee things up, recognizing that we don't have a formal decision or a verdict at this point, but wanted to bring it to the commission for a possible action, pending eligibility criteria possible.
Oh, that's great news. Excellent. And would Gail be the one working on that?
I'm not sure specifically.
I was just listening in. I think to meet the strict deadline on this one, I would probably tag team it along with a colleague of mine, and we would both work on it together.
Great. Oh, exciting. Okay, fingers crossed there. Anyone have questions or comments on that process? All right. Okay, then we'll move on to item C, and our other guest tonight is Andrew Kitzlar from Friends of San Damiano, going to update us on informational interviews conducted by the group.
Could I just jump in? Just
Yes, please.
6B, I'm sorry. Could I get a possible action if there is a motion pending eligibility to proceed with those funds?
Yeah, let's do that. Great. Does anyone want to make a motion to move that property forward?
I'll move. I
Excellent.
move that we nominate or use CLG funds to nominate the property at 110 Huna, is that how you pronounce it? Street, if the state agrees it's eligible for the use of CLG funding.
Excellent. And can we get a second?
I'll second. It's Henua.
Henua. Okay, thank you.
I've lived here 51 years. I've never heard of this before.
It's right off of Maywood and Winnequa.
Okay, I gotta go treasure hunting.
Yes, you've got a new walking route to check out. Excellent. Okay, and all in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks for your work on that, Doug.
No problem.
Okay, jumping back to Andrew Kitzlar. Take it away.
Hey, how's it going? So thanks for having me. I do have to apologize that our communications chair, Pat Howell, could not make it, who was very intricately involved in all of these. So hopefully I'll be able to provide you a little bit of background on the testimonials, what we've been able to do so far, what our mission is, and also some of the individuals. But happy to answer questions as well once I'm done speaking. So a part of the Friends, there's many kind of facets of it. One of it is fundraising, but the other one is really telling the story and communicating the story about the property. And what we wanted to do at a very early stage, even prior to the city deciding to acquire the property, was reach out to individuals that had a connection to it, whether it was a direct connection, whether it was a passive connection, people like myself who just drive by it but have never been on the property, and really get a sense of what the feel is for the property, and also to capture the history. I mean, the history continues to get older. Individuals that have that history and that connection continue to evolve. So we wanted to make sure that we are trying to grab it as much as possible and to archive it and to keep it and to be able to tell the story about the property. So our mission with this is exactly that, is reaching out to anybody that has a connection to the property, has thoughts about the property, videoing them if we can, recording them audio wise if they can, and then other times we've been just able to do it in writing as well. But I would say a great example, and I apologize, my wife is getting home with our child from daycare, so you might hear that in the background. But I would say one of the great examples that you can see from those that we've been able to videotape is the one that was released with the June 1st press release from the city, which gives a good idea of some of the individuals that we've been able to interview. Obviously, some city representatives, including the mayor, as well as Jake Anderson from the Parks and Rec. But we've also been able to do some residents. So Reverend John Shield has been a farmer there, or doing the tending to the garden there for over 40 years. And so he's had a great connection there. Jane Coldman, who's a resident, has a number of things, but also Dorothy Haynes, who has literally written the book about Monona history. And as I don't have to tell you guys, has a wealth of information. And so we've been able to talk to her and record those interviews. We've also, included residents such as children and what it means to have this property, what it means, what their interaction has been with it, and what they hope their interaction will be with it in the future. But we've also able to span the gap between the city and other organizations, whether it's Madison residents, whether it's other foundations or organizations, but the top one being the Ho-Chunk Nation. We've gotten Bill Quackenbush interviewed, and we're hoping to interview a lot more too and connect with their historians. Bob Birmingham, who's a retired Wisconsin State archaeologist, and we've been intricately involved and in communication with a variety of archaeologists in the Wisconsin Historical Society, including Amy and a few others. We've also connected with Anne, and I apologize if I don't say this last name right, Waylock, who is the president of the Blooming Grove Historical Society, and used to be the former president of the of Madison. James Ty from Clean Lakes. So anyways, we've been able to interview a couple dozen individuals that have been connected or have thoughts about this. And what has been fun behind it, and the little piece that I've been involved with, and again, I apologize that Pat would be more intricately involved in it, but what has been great is the strong connection from everybody who has either been on the property or not. And let me step back. Jack Fadness, we've also interviewed him, who lives along the property line, who's lived here for 80 years and had a lot of connections to the Norbertines and the general history. So that has been a wealth of information, which has been great. And it's also been great to learn about the landscaping and what was put in when from him, and of which he's helped a great deal about. So anyways, what's been great about it is, again, from people that have never stepped foot or that have, including an abbot that has lived there that we were able to interview, which was really great, is I would say, educational, historical, cultural, and environmental significance of this property. How, as the last undeveloped piece of property around Lake Monona, how important it is, not only for us today, but how important it was for the Ho-Chunk as the indigenous peoples having that as their land. And so it's really been a nice educational feature. We're going to be producing, not only working with Will that produced the June 1st video, that's just a little bit more of a general highlight, but we're really going to dig into kind of what we have termed the four pillars, the educational, cultural, historical, and environmental values of this property and the importance of it. And so we're hopeful that those will continue to roll out as time allows. We're always happy certainly always happy to get more input on people we should interview, or if you or others want to be interviewed, we are more than happy to do that as well. And we've had, we can't thank the city enough, not only for purchasing the property, but also for helping and lending Will and Samantha, who are on community media, helping put these videos together and really doing a professional job and getting them set up. So I don't know if that spurs more questions, or if there's anything else you wanted me to dig into a little bit deeper about the testimonial videos, but I will pause there for questions or comments.
Great. Anyone have a question or comments? Rick, maybe?
Oh,
Looks like you were thinking about saying something.
He unmuted.
Oh,
I was wondering.
I'm always thinking.
That's good.
No, I think that's a great thing to do. Get all those testimonials or connections in a documented form. I think it'll become very useful for you as you build your campaign and show the value to the community that it has, and hopefully encourage people to contribute or support the fundraising that I think you want to do in the not too distant future. So it's a great step to take.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, and kind of to your point, we didn't know how we were going to utilize all this information, but we knew we wanted to collect it all. And so it'll be interesting because they have hours upon hours of video collected. So it'll be nice to see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you interviewed Jack, because I know we had talked about that, getting some of his information, because I think he's close to 90, and he's just a wealth of knowledge about that property, having grown up there.
A little known fact, and maybe you guys already know, he helped build the retention wall that is now currently there. That will be kind of the pathway down to the lake with the Norbertines back in the 80s, early 80s, 70s, late 70s. So he was involved.
Oh yeah. Right. Anyone have any other questions or comments? I think Rick and I had talked a little about the stewardship of the home, and I think that's more of a parks responsibility. Is that right? Yeah.
So I know they've secured it. They're planning on putting, they changed out the locks and they're planning on putting cameras around. But yeah, so city and or Parks and Rec would be responsible for the house.
And Doug, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to ask with regards to the interviews and things like that, how and where these are being documented, if it's kind of on a city server, or if there's a way that these will be available in years to come.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and the simple answer would be I'd have to ask Will. So I'm guessing it's on a city server.
Yep.
I know he just shares it with me through Google Documents, but I think those are edited and sent differently. So, but I do know, what's been nice, he and Pat Hall have been working on really categorizing all of the comments throughout all of the interviews and really time stamping them so that, if there's some information that we're looking for, or if there's a video concept that we want to put together, it should be much easier to kind of grab and drop and edit in. So.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to, and again, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you check it out, and maybe I can put it in the comments section of the Zoom so you have that link. But I think it's a good example of what the city is able to do and what, amazing things this Will is able to put together with the videos.
Absolutely.
Can I put in a plug real quick? We are having a cleanup day hosted by the Friends on June 19th. You can go to sandamianomonona.org to sign up if you want to sign up for a slot. We have a variety of things to do, whether it's picking up litter to hand sawing some larger brush to gardening and mulching. So we have a variety of things to do, and you can come for as long or as little as you'd like, or you could just come and walk around, obviously, too. So, but June 19th from 1 to 5 if you're interested.
Right, great. Excellent.
Thank you
For the information. Okay. Oh, we're moving right along. We're going to staff updates. That'll be Doug. Historic Preservation Month on the International Style Homes.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to share an update. This did go out. There was the webpage that was stood up for this as kind of there was a form included. And just for the new members, this was to honor Historic Preservation Month in May to gather some more information about the international style homes here in Monona. Both Rick Bernstein as well as Ann Weidelich have kind of been working on this to do more of a sort of literature review and to gather more documentation in the hopes of being able to stand up more of a dedicated web page for this over time. So to have an interactive map with information about each of the properties. And so what we were looking for here in the spirit of what was being done at San Damiano was to get more interviews and feedback from folks that could also be included in that. I'm sorry to say that we did not get any feedback in the form, but what I will be doing is personally reaching out. I know obviously Kathy Thomas, Alder Thomas, would be a great resource for that. And it was also shared that Matt Arrow, I believe in my notes, also has information about some of those. So I will be reaching out kind of offline to follow up to at least gather a little bit of information. I suspect both of those folks would be happy to share. So I'll do that. And if you have any other suggestions or if you have any contacts that you would like to speak to and share some notes with me, I'd be happy to incorporate that. But I do have kind of as part of a couple month work plan here, trying to work through that web page and beginning to get that established as kind of a resource on the Landmarks website, so on the dedicated web page.
Doug, I just want to mention that I know that Alder Thomas is a resource, but her husband, Bill, is probably the wealth of knowledge for these houses. He grew up in his house and his dad built his house. So he still has the architectural plans. He has the booklets. He's got it, everything. He'll talk your ear off, so be careful.
Thank you. I'll be reaching out to both of them, so yes.
Doug, I was wondering if, have you ever, and I think we have the capability of doing this, seeing what the web stats are for the Landmarks page and seeing what people are clicking on. I bet Leah could probably pull up a report for us. That might be interesting to look at for May to see if we got any traction there.
Yeah, I'd certainly be curious. I know because I believe the city newsletter is going out twice monthly. I made sure it was in at least two, and it was as I was out, but I think it was on WVMO as well.
It was.
So it wasn't for lack of publicity, but I think hopefully as things progress next year, we can have more of an in-person event that I think will drive a little bit more traffic. So I'll certainly. I'm curious about that for a few other topics as well. So I'll get some stats.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's always nice to do a spot check and just see, what that's looking like.
Certainly.
All right.
Doug, I would, if I could just say one thing, I would offer, I consider myself blessed to live in an international style home. So if you ever want access to my home or any documentation on it, please let me know.
Excellent. I'll certainly reach out.
Thanks.
Thanks, John. Okay, then we're going to move on to the National Register nomination update.
Yes, so certainly the Coles building, we'll obviously know where that nomination is. So I think there was a little bit of feedback shared to Gail, so she'll be able to incorporate that and move that through the process. I also yesterday received the nomination for 4811, Tony Awatha from Tim Hegland, who was working on that nomination. A little too late to get it in the packet or to get it out for review. But I did want to kind of ask for feedback from the commission as to whether that is something you would like to sort of incorporate in the meeting agenda for possibly for the July meeting, if you thought it was helpful to review this, if it's something that could maybe be done. I'd need to check if it's something we could do offline or, rather than waiting another month. But just to get some feedback as to whether that's something you'd like to see out of curiosity, whether you'd like to make edits or if you think at a meeting would be best. So I'd welcome, commission feedback on that.
Anyone have thoughts on that?
So you're asking whether or not we want to see it before you submit it to the state?
Yes.
And the idea being to give it to the state so that they get it in their queue that much sooner?
Yes.
You know, that seems to make sense to me. I think we could still have, if they're going to take a year to review this, I think there'd still be time for us to comment
Mhm.
before they actually get to the point where they're editing it. So, I think there will be revisions from the state, so we have time, I think, to add anything else that we might want to add. I think we could put it on the agenda for next month, but at the same time, I think you could go ahead and submit it to the state.
Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't sure if there was a opportunity to make edits post after it was submitted or not.
I believe so.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Great.
Well, how would you feel about Doug maybe floating it over to Rick for another set of eyes? Would you be open to that, Rick? Just,
No, I don't think it'd be me by myself. I think, the whole committee should have a crack at it. So we can wait till next month. I think that'll give everyone time to review it.
okay.
Yeah, I can do the same as we did with this month, but included in the packet. If nothing else, I know it's very interesting reading. So we can include it, and I can verify in the meantime whether it can be edited. We wouldn't necessarily be on a time crunch for that, but just recognizing that it's a year to be heard, kind of getting the ball rolling with that may be a good idea. So certainly open to comments, but I didn't want to, just be the gatekeeper of that and not pass it through the commission. So certainly wanted to get the thoughts here.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. So you'll verify and then submit if we can make those edits, and otherwise we'll wait till July.
That sounds good.
Great. All right, thanks for that. And then the pagoda repair.
Yes. So we have a final signed contract. There was a holdup in getting that signed, and of course, no work had taken place on the pagoda till that point. So I am working to coordinate with the project manager on this now, just to make sure that we're in lockstep here moving forward with the pagoda. Certainly, any materials, I'm sure the commission is aware there are certain elements that did require Landmarks Commission review. So I just want to call those things out. The materials, if nothing else, certainly the samples and things like that. So I just want to make sure that obviously they're working off the documents prepared by Patrick Egan, but I just want to make sure that we're completely squared away there. So that's kind of where it is. It was just executed earlier this week. So there was a holdup just getting signatures and making sure everyone could find it. But I was working with Parks Director Anderson before that, and Joe Daniels were aware that they were not touching the pagoda in any way until such time. So I'm expecting in the next couple of days we'll have a meeting and be able to discuss that and move forward.
Doug, was the contract executed between Joe Daniels and Monona, or?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have a contractor for the actual roof yet. Who's going to do the work?
I believe they're conducting it in-house.
They're going to do it in-house?
Yes.
So I guess I'm wondering when we should talk about the treatment of the well foundation. They haven't done any ground disturbance around the well, I'm understanding. But at some point we may want to clear some of that away so that we can see what the well foundation looks like and how we might want to go about treating it. I talked to Wes's Masonry, and there was some interest. And I think we'd have to have it available for viewing to really understand how to treat it. So I think that's the tricky part, is how to coordinate that or how we approach that. And I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
I think we spoke about this in April, and I think the consensus was just, again, with the cost uncertainty, to try and use a point during the construction to at least get potentially just contact this one individual, at least to begin to get a scope, and depending upon the order of magnitude. So that will certainly be something when I meet with the Pagoda contractor to try and facilitate. They do control the job site, so any access and things like that. But I would certainly work with them. I think at least to sort of have a sort of site inspection and begin to at least consider ballpark numbers. If it's to a certain scale, we'll of course need to do a bid, and we probably want at least another opinion. But at least we could begin to get the ball rolling while the site is maybe a little bit more accessible or cleared than it previously was.
Do we know, Doug? But Joe Daniels is going to do some of the grading around the pagoda to get it to a historic level. I think we talked about where that might be, and we wasn't sure where we left that. I think we were hoping to get down to those flagstones, but I'm not sure if that's still part of the work program.
If I remember correctly, and it was more of the park plan, it was the park project rather than the pagoda, but if I remember, it was a sort of field determination. So it was to be determined once they are on site. There wasn't necessarily a specific level. We certainly captured the commission's will that it be as close to historic as possible, but I think it's sort of a field verification, more of an audible call as to where it is once they're there.
So when this field determination is made by the contractor, will we know, or will we have input to where that what that level is going to be?
I would have to check. I think they would probably have, the authority on that, just given the scope of the work that they're doing. But it is, the trick here is coordination. And so I'm, particularly as any of this comes with Pagoda, I'm, working with Director Anderson to be involved with those discussions, such that it's at least, it may not time with a meeting or something like that, but I think generally I have the will of the commission, the consensus there as to how, this body would like to move forward. And so I'll be, pushing for those interests as much as possible, but recognizing it is, a bigger sort of engineering project as well.
Okay. We'll do what we can.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions about the pagoda? All right. Discussing return to in-person meetings.
Yes. So this, obviously with the expiration of the Dane County orders and things like that, every commission that I'm staffing, we're putting this on as a discussion item. We're looking to see if there's comfort from the commission to kind of return back to pre-COVID situation. We'd have to look into, I believe we would still be recording the meetings even if we were in person, just as but not necessarily having them as both in person and on Zoom. So I think we just wanted to get a feel from the commission as to the comfort level of meeting back in person, back in this room, and we can potentially implement that in July if that's of interest.
And City Council is looking to go back to in-person meetings the second meeting of July. Just so people know.
Well, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that.
I am too.
I'm fine with it.
Fine, okay.
Okay,
Ann,
I
okay,
say time to move on.
all right. And John, how about you?
Yeah, thumbs up. Yep.
Excellent.
Excellent. And so we'd meet in the City Hall conference room, is that right? Where you and Peggy are, Doug? Okay.
Correct.
And there's no mask requirement in there right now, correct?
That's correct. So each building is determined by sort of so the library, for example, they still have a mask policy. So any meetings over there, the municipal room would, but City Hall, it is as comfortable. So there's no need for the mask at this point.
Right. Amazing. It's gonna be amazing. All right. Fantastic. Really exciting. Okay, then moving on to E, commission requests for staff.
Well, just to follow up on, I think last month we talked about trying to get an estimate for what it would cost to nominate the Frost Woods Historic District to the National Register. And I've emailed Tim a couple times, but I haven't gotten a reply. So maybe Doug, next time you talk to Tim, you could ask him if he's even interested. Maybe that's why I didn't hear back.
Yeah.
But, or if Gail, I didn't see anything while she was here, but if she's interested, just to get an estimate, just so we have it in our back pocket, what it might cost.
Sure.
I can update you on our Frostwoods meeting. The Frostwoods Association would recommend that the city set something up with the Historical Society to have some type of public information session for the Frostwoods homeowners. You know, our meeting was on Zoom this year, so it wasn't very well attended. But the people that were there are interested. The people that proxied, you know, I really can't say for them who'd be interested and who wouldn't. But it was on our agenda, so
Good.
it will be in our minutes as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great thing to do.
You know, I wanted to, this isn't really a request for staff, but I wanted to make sure, I didn't know if everyone got their postcard invitation to the Dean House. We donated as a commission, I believe it was $100 toward their back porch renovation. And so they're having a donor thank you party. That's Sunday, June 13th from 1 to 4 p.m. The ribbon cutting is at 2:30. So just letting you know about that. So that's June 13th. Sounds like 1 to 4 with a ribbon cutting at 2:30. I'm sure everyone here is invited to that. It looks great. I was over there the other day and it looks really great. And then I also wanted to ask the committee, we recently received Nehemiah, you know, the city has contracted with Nehemiah to do kind of a comprehensive diversity, equity, and inclusion study and assessment and where we are as a city. And I was wondering if any commissioners would like to see their initial report that they've issued to the council members. If you would, I would be happy to send that to you, or I could send it to everybody just so you have it.
I'd love to see it.
Okay. Because, you know, our thinking is as commission members, we all play a part in this work. And so it's, yeah, a nice educational opportunity to see where we're at. So I'll follow up with that.
Thanks.
All right. Anything else? I guess our upcoming meeting is July 14. That'll be in person. Oh my gosh. And don't lose it. You know, I mean, that's going to be really something. I think that's going to be my first city meeting in person. So that'll be great. And then we move on to adjournment. If anyone else has any last comments or questions, and Peggy and John, if you have any questions about some of these things that we discussed in detail and you're wondering, please feel free to reach out to myself or to Doug or any of the other commissioners. I'm sure would be willing to help you get caught up on those issues. We've been talking about some of those for quite a while.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay. So, and all in favor of adjourning?
Bye.
And anyone opposed? Of course not. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank
you.
Bye.